Hey, my friend, Kirby here of KirbyAndersen.com. You know, every married couple eventually learns just how vital communication is to a healthy, growing, loving relationship. For that reason, I want to share with you today 5 questions that will help to improve your communication with your spouse. Great communication is a skill that takes a lifetime to master. Every married couple has to learn eventually how to become more mindful and more respectful of each other. And choosing the right words is certainly important, but it's also important to know how to choose the right time and the right tone. And a lot of miscommunication in a marriage comes down to just choosing the wrong time or overreacting to the other person. And so Gail and I have found a few questions that help us to set the tone, and it gives the other person the chance to be able to focus their attention and to avoid that overreaction. So I want to share with you our favorite questions that help us to improve our communication in this way. The first question is this: are you deep? Now, I love this one because it's particularly helpful for me when I'm deep in thought, I'm lost in a project, or just really caught up in a TV show or a movie. Guys don't tend to multitask as much as what we think that we do. And so this is just awesome because when Gail comes in and just simply says, "Are you deep?" it gives me a chance to kind of regroup, take a moment, and to be able to give her the attention that she's wanting and that she deserves. It's just a respectful way to interrupt. And at the same time, it's not just saying, "Hey, got a moment," but it's saying, "I need to talk with you, but I also need to have your full attention. Are you able to give that to me now?" All of that is in those 3 words, are you deep? And hopefully I can be able to shake off the fog in those moments and be able to say, "Sure, honey, give me just a minute, get the glaze off my eyes," and be able to focus on what you're saying. Or if I need to have just a few moments to finish up what I'm doing, that's cool too. I can just simply ask for that and then be able to give her my full attention later on. Such a great question. Secondly, permission to speak freely. Oh man, this is one of my favorites. It is a great one for any relationship, particularly in teaching your teenagers, but that's another lesson. We're talking here about communication in marriage. And this is particularly important, especially if you've got to resurrect a conversation that may have a little bit of sensitive history to it. There are always times when we have to talk about some things and we have to be honest and truthful, and we know that it may be a little bit confrontational in a way. But the Bible says that we need to speak the truth in love, and this is the way that allows us to be able to do that. Because you need to be able to choose your words, you need to be able to choose your timing wisely, but it's also good when you can give the other person a heads up, just to prepare themselves a little bit, so that they can drop their defensive walls and not overreact, perhaps in the way that they have done so in other times when you have talked about this. Great question. Permission to speak freely. Number 3. Would you like to rephrase that? Man, I love this. This is just simply, would you like a do-over? Because we have all suffered from foot and mouth disease before. You know, open mouth, insert foot, say something stupid, and if you aren't able to take it back quickly enough, this is a way where for a patient spouse to be able to give the other one the chance to have a do-over. This also often goes hand in hand with another question that we have learned from one of our favorite books on marriage by Emerson Eggerichs, and the book is called Love and Respect. And there he tells us that it's important that when we say something stupid that has come across as unloving or disrespectful, to just simply say that. Did you mean to come across unloving? Did you mean to come across as disrespectful? And so instead of just letting one stupid statement just snowball into a crazy argument, the nobler spouse of the moment is just able to give a chance to the other person to be able to take it back and simply say, "Would you like to rephrase that?" Number 4. So if I understand you correctly, you're saying, and this is also a great one because all of us, we know exactly what it is that we are communicating to another person, and we often think that the other person exactly understands it the way that we're communicating it. But obviously that's not the case. That's why we have misunderstandings. And so if you find yourself at some time or another getting a little bit ticked off or puzzled or confused about something that your wife has just said or your husband has just said, just pull back for a minute and just say, okay, if I got that right, this is what you're saying. Is that correct? Restate it in your own words. And if they say, no, that is what I was saying, great. And hopefully it's coming across the right way. If you need to get some clarification, that's even better. Now, even after you get the clarification, and if you find yourself still just a little bit miffed, still just a little bit puzzled, then maybe you need to go back to question number 2 of permission to speak freely, or of question number 3, would you like to rephrase that? And then proceed with caution. Finally, question number 5 is just simply this, and man, I use this one a lot, I have to admit. I'm sorry, honey, I wasn't paying attention. Would you mind repeating that? Because no matter how hard we try to be attentive to our spouses, we all tend to drift. I get that, it happens, so you might as well just admit it, own it. It's better to own it right up front than to get busted because that's way too embarrassing. I have to do this a lot more than what I'd like to admit, but I have to give Gail credit. She is always great about repeating herself, even though it's an inconvenience. I think that she likes it, just the fact that I know that I'm not giving her attention and I really want to, and it's worth it to her to go ahead and to repeat it. So these are just a few of the valuable lessons that we've learned in almost 4 decades of marriage, of trying to make our marriage better. And I hope that you'll be able to relate to at least one of these 5 questions today, and we'll be able to use it in the very near future. We all stumble in this art of communication, but if we work to just show our spouse a little bit of respect and use questions like this, we can head off a lot of that miscommunication, and we can also quickly recover whenever our mouth gets out ahead of our better judgment. So I hope this was helpful. And if you like this video and you'd like to have others come into your email inbox as soon as I get them done, I'd like to invite you just to go over to KirbyAndersen.com, my webpage, and you can subscribe to my email newsletter there. If you're watching this on my YouTube channel, you can also subscribe and stay up to date with all brand new videos as they come. Just another way to help you to live better, to love more, to build, and to leave the legacy that you desire. Hope you have an awesome week. Stay on target and hold your mouth right.